What's up, guys and gals? Welcome back to the Nerd Castle for our continuation of Subnautica. Now, I don't know how many episodes we're going to do of this, but you will know that a couple months ago I covered Subnautica, which is an underwater survival game where you're on an aquatic planet and you've got to build submarines and super awesome bases and stuff like that. The game was fairly rudimentary when it first came out on Steam, but it did have very, very good bones, and so when the foundation of a game is good, it's usually pretty easy to just start stacking up the content like Legos. And so I figured now that Stranded Deep is out of the way, Stranded Deep did patch. I did want to address that. Stranded Deep did patch a couple days ago, but it just added a bunch of new creatures and didn't really add anything else to the game. It fixed a bunch of bugs and added a few new sea creatures, so I figured we'd come back and we check on Subnautica for a little while, because this actually has new content. Like, we can build the Cyclops, which is one of those things that I really, really wanted to see. You can build all kinds of like piping and random stuff at this point, and so the game looks like it's starting to flesh out in a way that is very, very satisfactory. So without further ado, let's go ahead and visit Subnautica. We're going to be playing the game on survival mode. I don't think I'm going to play hardcore today, just in case something goes wrong. You never know with recordings, and if we end up crashing or whatever, I'd rather not risk it.
In the late 22nd century, humanity is beginning to colonize space. Before colony ships arrive, habitation vessels are appointed terraforming missions. The Aurora was one such vessel. During its descent, the Aurora was struck by a mysterious energy pulse, resulting in catastrophic hull failure. A single life pod jettisoned prior to impact. You were in that life pod.
Hooray! I enjoy being in the life pod. At least we didn't caught up in a death pod. The death pod's the one you gotta watch out for. If you ever find your commanding officer sticking you in the death pod, you are in trouble. I love the habitation ships, but I like the cohabitation ships better. Did I make that joke already? I'm gonna make it again just because I feel like it's a good one. So the first thing we want to do right now is we need to get ourselves a dive knife. I would highly recommend never diving without a dive knife, because it's very, very... Oh, good, we're in the shallows. I very much prefer it when our little life pod lands in the shallows. It makes the early game a little bit more sweet and easy. I think that for right now, what we need to do is let's gather up some food. I'm going to probably grab some of these air sacs over here. Yeah, there's one right there. He's like, you grabbed my sack. Oh, well, I've been caught. That's what happens. We'll probably grab these little halite crystals up off the bottom. We'll bring some quartzes back as well. That seems pretty good. Press F8 to report bugs and give feedback. Why, shoy. I should probably grab some of these peepers or whatever, too. Wow, our armorage does not appear to be as long as I thought it would be. Yeah, he looks like he's flaccid. I feel kind of bad for him right now. He looks floppy. He doesn't look like stiff or happy or anything. I'm going to go ahead and throw him back into my bag. I'll probably try and catch all that I can while I'm down here, just because it's important to really solidify yourself with some kind of like long-term food supply. We need to break down some of these random little doodlies down here too. You see these little lumps right here of limestone? Essentially all it is, limestone is just like a big lump of calcareous bodies. There's lots of like tiny little creatures in the water that you can't see, and they all have these little things called tests, which are shells. We talked about this in the first series, but I figured I'd touch on it again since I'm probably going to label this like episode 1 of season 2. They have little calcareous cells, or shells made of CaCO3. In science, you call that a test. But anyways, they have these things called tests. They're so small that you can't see them, but that means that there's more than likely millions upon millions of them in any given area, and when they die, they fall to the bottom. They feed through the sand, because the sand has kind of like its own internal gravitational sorting mechanism, and so there it is. Once that happens, they all fall to the bottom. They create like this layer, and over time, the bad things leach out, the good things stay in, and they turn into limestone. And so there it is. Limestone also melts if you subject it to water too frequently, and also it'll melt if you throw acid on it. That's actually how you test to see if CaCO3 is in any substance. You throw a little bit of dilute acid on it, you see if it fizzles. If it fizzles, then you know you're in the bizzle to get some work done. I'm going to try and grab as much metal as I can for right now. We can open up our inventory by pressing the tab key. That remains the same from what it was previously, and that should be pretty good. For right now, the things we need to gather are largely limited to emery, metal, and a few other things, but the metal is going to be very, very important because we need to dive. I actually don't like having to go back up to the surface every 30 seconds or so. I would very much prefer it if we could get ourselves equipped with a couple of tanks so that we could jump back up or swim back. I guess jumping is not something you really do underwater. If you're wearing weights, you can jump underwater. I don't know. I spent a lot of time in a pool when I was a kid. I was on the swim team. I was really, really into swimming. It was like one of those things that I enjoyed a lot. I still enjoy swimming quite a bit. I just don't do it quite so much anymore because the only place available to swim anymore is like the pool at my apartment complex, and that's always got like 9 million people in it. So I'm like, we need salt if we're going to cook these things up. And so if we wanted to make a cooked Gary fish, as I recall, oh look, yeah, there it goes. It actually, sorry Gary fish, I've lasered you to death. It's unfortunate, but it had to happen because you looked delicious. We can okay, so let's eat him. There we go. So now our bars are looking a little bit more satisfactory. If we eat these without actually cooking them, I think we lose quite a bit of our water stores, and so I'd rather stay away from that for right now. We do have some metal, though. Let me see what I can make out of this metal. I think that if we could make a couple, yeah, like 3 dive tanks maybe, that seems like it'll be suitable. To be specific, we're not making suits, we're making tanks, but you know, suits, tanks, it all goes along with the scuba humor, scuba vibe. Scuba vibe. That seems like it would be the name of like a reggae band that plays underwater related music. Ooh, 130 oxygen. It's nice to be able to see at this point what the actual change is in the amount of oxygen you can carry along with you. As I recall before, the meter just went down slower before, and so now you actually have a number, like a hard concrete number. So if you want to increase it, if you're a big one for the numbers and the digits, you can go ahead and handle your digits if you want to. We've got a couple more Gary fish down here. I'm actually going to let them slide. Yeah, I'm going to let them slide on through. For the time being, we just want to find ourselves some salt. So let's go track that down real quick. If we could find, oh, we got splody fish down there. Okay, I'd rather not deal with them. This is copper from what I recall, is it not? Oh no, it's flint. Okay, flint will work. I don't remember if flint has like an implemented thing that it's useful for at this point, but hopefully it does. We'd probably also like to make ourselves a little bit of silicone out of the silica that you could find inside of salt. Let's go ahead and we'll break that off. We got too much limestone. I'm sorry, we got too much. Got like a whole bunch of zinc sitting around inside of our inventory right now, and I would much prefer to have a little bit of emery. We should make some flippers, is my point. There we go. We got the emery. So now that we've chalked up a tiny bit of emery, we should go back to our life raft over here, our life pod. We're swimming very slowly, so my recommendation for right now would be that we make ourselves some flippers. We're going to try and get some of our basic stuff done at the beginning of the game. It's going to be a tad tedious, but I would beg that you all bear with me. And if you can't bear with me, at least like, I don't know, dog or cat with me. I'm not really sure which animal you would prefer. I like boars, but I would hesitate to say boar with me, because that's one thing I try to keep. I don't want my content to be boring. You know what they say, if you haven't struck oil yet, stop boring. That's an old saying about doing public speaking, especially in the geological arena. But anyways, we've got glass, we've got silicone that we can make right here. In order to make flippers, we've got a compass. Oh, that'll be nice too. A current generator, okay. A current generator rather than an outdated generator. That seems to be good. Let's see here. It's a generator that's had all of its software updated. Personal buoyancy. Oh, that's kind of cool. We can make some fins out of 2 silicone. And in order to do that, we're going to need 2 more fistful of sand. So let's go down to the bottom and we'll get that taken care of as fast as possible. There we go. 2 more fists full of sand. We'll go back up to the top. Not a very good heavy metal album name. A fistful of sand. Yep, not going to do it. It's just not enough. We'll make the 2 lumps of silicone. There it is. I don't know if they still have the placeholder graphic or what that's supposed to be, but I'd prefer that it come out in like a little rubbery lump, but maybe that's just me. Oh, look, they changed the graphic. They did indeed. It's just the placeholder, I guess. They've got like a little square with a silicone picture on top of it until they put the actual one in the game. Let's make ourselves der flippers. There they are right there. The fins are going to make our life a little bit easier, allow us to control ourselves a tad better underneath the water. I think you equip them. I don't know if you actually equip them in hand or if they just like work on their own. I don't really recall so well. I think they just go on your feet underwater. Yeah, it looks like we got flippers on right now. And these should help us book around a little bit quicker. Not too much quicker, but enough so to where we should see a difference. Now that we've tested those out to make sure they work, because any product should be put through amazing Q&A testing. And considering I just crafted flippers out of sand, I'd want to test them out first, especially the air tanks made out of random detritus from the bottom of the ocean. I'd probably want to test that out too. So what do we have going on here? I wanted to make a knife. The knife is going to require... Oh, we used up all of our metal for our dive tanks. That's okay. We should be able to find some more around here somewhere. And we've got plenty of oxygen to do it with, so it's not even that big of a deal. I spy with my little eye something that looks quite metallic off in the distance, so I'm going to swim on over. It doesn't look like we have any pertinent threats around right now, which is pretty... What the hell is that? An underwater refrigerator? What is this? A stasis rifle frag? What? Oh, we need to check this out right now. I might be sensing that there might be a little bit of DACA in our near future, so that if anything tries to run up on us and tries to like make us look like a fool, we can just be like, pucka, 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 pucka. What you want? You're on the wrong side of the tracks right now, son. Pucka, pucka, pucka. Make it happen. Go to war with some fish. It's a very, very fishy ordeal to go to war with fish, especially since they're so much better at swimming than we are. There's a little bit more emery. I don't know if we're going to need more than that. What we really need is salt, though. Salt typically tends to gather along these rock walls right here. That's not necessarily super accurate in the real world. Salt tends to actually be something that just remains left over at the end of the day. All it is NaCl. And so it tends to be left over. So what you'll find when you're looking for salt like out in the wilderness, it's just because it's the last thing to come out of solution and all of the other chemical constituents have been used up. So for example, if you've got like a grouping of stone or melt that is very high in like sodium, chlorine. It's got like magnesium, it's got iron, it's got oxygen, it's got silica in it. The salt doesn't tend to like readily, the NaCl doesn't tend to really bond with anything else in that mixture, especially considering the fact that magnesium and oxygen, iron and oxygen, those things tend to more readily bond with each other just because they fit. I think they, as I recall, they complete each other's shells more appropriately, although a chemist will have to check me on that one. Chemists, feel free to correct me, but anyways, in my experience with geology, it's that when things crystallize, they reach through the magmatic melt or the lava melt to find the things that they need, and they grab them, the things that they want versus others. And so once they have gone ahead and grabbed them, it leaves other things left over in the melt that now have no choice but to bond with other stuff. And in most cases, salt seems to be one of those things, in my experience anyways. That's why you see so many pure salt crystals randomly just like laying around when you go up into certain areas. It is specific melts though, so there it is. Your science talk of the day. For right now, we don't need to talk about science, we need to talk about war. And the war that we are currently talking about is our acquisition of a knife. Do we have any salt whatsoever? We only have flint. That is unfortunate. We need to get salt before nighttime gets here, otherwise we're not going to make it. So I shall endeavor to do my best to become as grumpy as possible, and all the salt shall be ours. Hey, peeper. Or no, you're not a peeper, you're an air sac. You want to come hang out with me? If you need air bladders, you can cut them off of those little fish right there. You used to be able to get like infinite bladders off of them, but my guess is that it's probably been fixed at this point. Let's try. Let's give it a go. Yeah, so now they actually despawn and they become an air sac once you... Right? Is that what's going on? No, they don't actually. So they used to be harvestable with the knife. Let me see if I can get my knife out here. Oh, you gotta right click it, that's why, okay. Yeah, I was gonna... Oh no, they actually still spawn a lot of membranes, in fact. Quite a few. Alright, well we'll want to probably think about our... I still wish that items stacked a little bit better in this game. I get like what they're going for with the inventory system that they've designed, so don't get me wrong right there, like I get it. And I understand you gotta have a limited inventory, but I do wish that things stacked, and that maybe they had like a unit size, and then, I don't know, it would have... if it forces them to redo the UI, I guess that might be a waste of time, but since we've got a little bit of salt right here, my first estimation would be... Did we pick up salt? I thought we picked up salt, but we may or may not have. Got a... Damn it, I thought I picked up a halite crystal down there somewhere. Where did it go? I got a stasis rifle fragment. Now, can I actually store stuff up in here? With our fabricator, I know that we can build like random little boxes. Or no, there's a storage compartment, isn't there now? It's like this over here, or there's a storage compartment in here somewhere. There it is. So now we've got storage. So what I would like to do is let's take the metal and we'll throw that over there. We additionally don't really need all these quartz crystals. If we... if you shift click, it'll make it go in. Okay, so that's what I was playing around with. I don't really think we need that much zinc, copper. No, we have salt. There it is right there. Okay, we got a couple of salt. I just wasn't aware of like what the graphic looked like. We also additionally appear to have a little bit of flint and a little bit of emery. We'll throw that in there. I'll keep an eye on... We got a stasis rifle fragment. Obviously, there's no point carrying that around. The membrane is going to be useful for us to purify some water in a little bit. In fact, I think that's all that you need in order to purify it, so we'll keep an eye on that too as we go through. With the fabricator... On this side, we wanted to make ourselves some dinner, so I'm going to make some cooked peepers right here. I love the fact, oh, they didn't add in the graphic yet, but I like the fact that they added the graphic for the Gary fish where it shows it being cooked by our amazing little awesome lasers. We appear to have a very, very real, like, electrician problem, or like an electricity-related hazard on this side. I'd definitely be nervous about falling asleep in a room that's fizzling like this. I don't know, I'd probably sleep on the roof or something until the sun came up, I'm not sure. We're going to go ahead and eat these two little guys right here. That should keep us nice and stocked up until morning. For the time being, though, I think we should probably get going on the stuff that we need for a constructor. And so... Where is the... I know we can make a locker. Yeah, there it is right there. The Cyclops is actually enormous. I saw a couple screenshots of somebody with theirs, and it was just like, oh my god, that thing is huge, which would be the perfect moment for somebody to be like, that's what she said, but we're going to stay away from it for right now. It's too easy. It's too easy. We're going to stay away from it for right now. I think that we're going to go look for metal. We're going to go on a metal quest. And so, typically, if you're going on a metal quest, I would suggest probably going to Europe first, because, you know, they've got those amazing bands like Amon Amarth and Sonata Arctica and Hammerfall and all those good ones. But metal quests can be engaged in other places. It just sort of depends what you're into. I think I see metal back in and over here. I love the ambiance in this game. It's such a relaxing game to play. Like, there are things that try to kill you in this game. Oh, it wasn't actually metal. It was, like, stuff on the ground. Okay. Never mind. We should probably actually try and track down... What are you? Are you friendly? It was like a little sea cat with fins. Oh, hello, little buddy. Would you like to be friends? Would you like to hold my hand? No, you don't want to hold my hand? Not even a little bit? Not even slightly? I sang you a song. I sang you a wonderful song of the sea, and you don't want to hang out with me? He's like, nope, it's not in the style that I prefer. Down here in the sea, when we sing songs, it's like, ah, woo, 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 woo. We make all kinds of like weird whale noises and stuff, and that's what counts as music for us. I know there was somebody out there that was trying to make... They took music that was made out of whale songs, and they would like auto-tune it a little bit, or they would just look for the notes that they wanted. It was a pretty cool project. I remember looking at it. We can actually chop this up right here, too, as I recall, and it should give us a couple of coral chunks. The reason we want coral chunks is because we can take, as I recall, calcium out of it is how we refine that. We can turn it into calcium, and then we can take calcium, and we can take something else and make bleach. I don't remember what the two constituent parts were, but it was fairly simple. And once you make the bleach, you can actually make really, really good water for yourself that lasts for a while. I want to make sure I haven't lost my beacon just yet, but Metal Quest still continues. We will cue the double bass pedal and rock out as long as we can with the longest hair possible. I used to have hair down to my ass when I was younger, like seriously. Really, really long hair, but it was just too high maintenance. Eventually, it's difficult to find employment when you have long hair, too. That was the other problem that I ran into, is you got shot down all the time. Now, in the past 10 years, it seems to have gotten a little bit better. I've started to see, like, kids and guys up at places like stores and things like that who have themselves... I'm not about to get bombed. What's making that noise? It's making me nervous. Okay, a little bit of emery right there. I don't know what we need emery from, and I think emery might be an outdated term for a different type of stone. I'm not really sure. What are you supposed to be? Are you friendly or are you evil? I'm gonna slay you. Hold on, hold still. I'm going to slay you like my name is Santa. Oh shit, no, swim away. Swim away, swim away, swim away, exploding fish. Okay, that was unpleasant. I'm not alright with that. Okay, so let's stay out of that cave for right now. We're looking a little bit wounded. I think we actually mix it with carbon or something, maybe? I don't know. Let's grab some of those little guys from here because they'll allow us to get carbon, as I recall. Our oxygen is at 50%. I want to gather up a little bit more salt. I don't know if the salt respawns or if this is going to be a long-term issue where we have to go farther and farther from home every single time to get salt. But, is there any back in there? There's none back in there. We got a little bit right there. Not feeling super good about our prospects right now. I wonder if kelp and all of that has been implemented just yet. I think maybe you convert it into carbon or something, as I recall. I don't remember. There was something specific you could do with coral and kelp, and it's really, really good for you, as I recall. Like, seaweed is pretty healthy when you eat it. That's why it's good for wrapping your rice and your Spam up in, too, making yourself some of that delicious musubi. Uh-huh. Yes, please. Some musubi to go along with your lau lau, huh? Yeah, that stuff sounds pretty amazing right now. Alright, so, oh, they jump out of the water. Look at that. That's new. I don't know if that's a bug or if that's just something they do to hang out. Now I feel guilty about killing them because they're living happy little fishy lives, and I'm ruining it by destroying them. It doesn't seem like a very nice thing to do if you want to keep, like, Neptune on your favor. Nobody cares about Neptune anyway. Surprisingly enough, Neptune, not so great at playing musical instruments. He's got tune in his name, so most of us thought, I bought him, see the problem is that I bought him a mandolin, and I was like, yo, Neptune, here's this mandolin, it's a stringed instrument that we created down, like, in the mankind sphere, and he was like, oh, that's pretty awesome of you, let me go ahead and let you ride my personal dolphin for a little bit, and I was like, oh, yeah, but when I got done riding the personal dolphin that Neptune sent over, he actually had not learned, like, anything. I sent him, like, the perfect tablature for learning how to play the mandolin, and he's still, I don't know, he's messing it up. He might be tone deaf. I'm not even sure. On that subject, I had a friend who was tone deaf when I was a kid. Had a definite friend who was tone deaf. I don't say that like in a mean way. It was just like... And the thing is, like, I find that most tone deaf people don't realize that they're tone deaf. And then it becomes this awkward conversation where you've got to, like, explain to them that they're tone deaf. You'd be like, there's like a C up here. You gotta match what I'm doing. You know, it's like, it's up at the top right here. And they're somewhere, like, off doing, like, a D flat or something. I don't know. A D flat is a... No, never mind. D flat is C sharp. I had to imagine a piano keyboard in my head again. I was like, did I do one of those dumb things? Was I like, you know, I was trying to get him to do a B, but then he was like, oh, I'm going to do a C flat. And, you know, you get what I mean. You get what I mean. I was trying to make sure, but I had to envision in my head, in the most Tom Hanks of fashions, a giant keyboard that I was stepping on with my feet so that I could remember. We can make some cooked air sacs over here. We also have the ability to make filtered water. I don't think that's too bad of a deal. Get that thing. I mean, honestly, we could rebottle it and sell it to a bunch of rubes if we really, really want to. You're like, yeah, it's the same thing that comes out of the tap, but hey, if you want, you can drink it if you want to. We've got some coral chunks in here. Let's do our best to convert some of this stuff over into, yeah, there's the calcium chunks right there. I don't really know if we need these super badly, but we'll prepare them for later just in case that we do. And then we're also going to try and hold on to as much metal as possible, because in here in the next 5 minutes of the episode, I'd like to, at the bare minimum, grab myself a couple more bits of metal, so that I'd like in the next episode for us to have the, what's the name of the ship? Well, we got to make a constructor first, but we need a battery and we need some glass. So how do we make the battery? We need some zinc. We actually have that. We have that. Let's go ahead and we'll grab the zinc. Zinc and carbon. Can you make a battery out of that? Zinc and carbon? I don't know. I'm running around in my head and it doesn't seem right. It might be. I'm not a chemist, so I don't know. I'm not a chemist. Oh, apparently that does not do what I thought it did. Alright. So if I press the escape key, it appears to open up the console. Yeah, there's our battery right there. Got our anodes, got our cathodes, got everything hooked up all nice. That's right. I can remember terms from a class I took like 10 years ago. Let's see here. We've got the... Oh, I forgot about the Sea Glide. I totally forgot about the Sea Glide. We should probably make one of those, too, so we can get rid of the fins. Save ourselves some space. Well, we'll make the constructor first. We need glass. How much quartz do we have? Is it sand or is it quartz that we turn into... Maybe it's... I'll have to take a look here. It's probably the quartz that we turn into glass to differentiate it. Oh, you need sand and quartz. Okay, well, luckily we're in the middle of the ocean, so we have a ready supply of all of that. So we'll grab... I don't know. We're going to need a lot of glass for later, so I'll probably try and do all my glass farming right now. I would love to see if later on, you see how we dug that big trench out right there? I'd love to build bases later on underneath the water. I don't know. It's tough to decide like how I would like to see this game proceed. If it should turn into the sort of game where you can like fight with other people and like aliens and stuff like that, or if it should stay just like a dive game where you can relax and hang out for a little while. There's still some threat that's involved in the world, but it's mostly like a building, hang out, have a good time game. I don't know what I would prefer between the two, and ultimately I know it's not my decision to make, but got the battery. What else do we need? Needed quartz. Let me dump some of this stuff off in the crate over here. The quartz should be really, really easy to find. I think we should be able to track down probably 5 or 6 of it before the end of the episode. That'll give us like 5 or 6 glass. Once we have the 5 or 6 glass, we should have enough to make ourselves a Sea Glide, a constructor, and then maybe enough to get started, possibly. I wouldn't actually lend my name to it just yet, but maybe we'll have enough to get started with the, what's that thing called? The Seamoth. The Seamoth is what we're trying to do after that. And then once we make the Seamoth, we'll be able to make the Cyclops, and the Seamoth mounts inside the Cyclops, which is all kinds of badass. I love carrier ships, and so that strikes an itch that is deep, deep, deep down within my gaming loins. So anyways, I'm going to go gather up that quartz. My name is Splattercat. Thank you for joining me here at the Nerd Castle for the next episode of Subnautica. I still haven't decided if I'm going to label this as episode like 3 or 4, whatever it was where we quit last time, or if I'm going to label this as the first episode in a new series. Either way, it's been an absolute... Oh no! Where did that come from? Oh, the cave up in there. Okay, so I guess we got. Anyways, it's an absolute pleasure to have you here. I'll see y'all later. Hi, do everybody, and I will see you in the next episode.